What is up, everybody? It is ZXRyuu, and it's time for our next Let's Play project. So, we're going back to the very beginning. This is the series I started with my second video that I ever uploaded to YouTube and streamed on Twitch. So we're going to go through a Let's Play of Spyro the Dragon. So we're going to start with the first game, and then we'll go from there and see what happens. So we're just going to start it up and have some fun with it. So I hope you all are having a great day today. Hopefully nothing is going weird in your life.
Okay, rolling.
Oh, it's been peaceful here in the 5 worlds, or is it 6? For a dragon's age. We now have 12,000 treasure, or is it 14,000? What about this Ganasty Gnorc character? Now, I understand he's found a magic spell to turn gems into warriors for his cause.
I'll take that question. Nasty Gnorc is a simple creature. Simple! He has been contained in a remote world and is no threat to the Dragon Kingdom. No threat! Besides, he is ugly. That does it!
Looks like I've got some things to do.
You're ugly? So, there's not a whole lot of plot line to Spyro the Dragon. That's pretty much it. But the dragons explain a little bit as we go along. But let's just go ahead and start.
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro. Free 10 dragons in the artisan world. Then find the balloonist. He'll transport you to the next world.
What about Nasty Gnorc? I'm going after him.
Find dragons first. That's all I can tell you.
Okay, so I guess the basic controls is X is jump, circle is flame, square is charge, triangle, if you press and hold it, you can look around. L1 and R1 kind of roll you around, and then L2 and R2 adjust the camera. And then you use the D-pad to move. Okay. So there's a little dragonfly following me around. His name is Sparks, and he helps pick up treasure that's nearby. Again, I'm playing this on a PlayStation 1, and I think it actually like bugged out a little bit because the sound has not loaded yet for some reason. So I don't know what's up with that, but anyway.
Where's Nasty Gnorc? I'll torch him.
Keep your horns on, Spyro! You have much to learn first. Do you know what the dragonfly following you is doing? His name is Sparks, and he's helping and protecting you. Keep an eye on him and see what I mean.
Huh, that is really weird. I have no idea why the sound is not working. Okay, anyway, so the whole point of this game is that Nasty froze all of the dragons, and it's up to us to go around and free them. So that's what we're going to do. And since this is a 100% Let's Play, we're going to go through all of the levels, not necessarily in any order, but when we do go to them, we'll do 100% of what we're able to do at the time we go through them. I may actually change the... Nope, I actually can't do that. Okay. I was going to reverse the L2 and R2 kind of go the opposite directions, and I'm not a big fan of that control scheme, honestly. I'd rather just right be right and left be left, so... But... I don't know. That's a lot of people prefer it to be the other way around, but I don't. So, but I guess in this game you can't change it. So, oh well. But yeah, since there's no music, you get to hear all the cool sound effects. And I decided to do this game next because it was one of the first things I did.
Cool Flash, do that again.
The artisan's boss is through a portal in the Dragon Mouth, but you are not yet ready, Spyro. First, you must complete one of the other artisan lands.
So I just kind of thought I'd circle back to playing the game that I first started with on YouTube and with Twitch, and just, you know, see what happens. That was really weird. I'm surprised the music hasn't reloaded from freeing the dragon.
Hey, Spyro, press the jump button twice to glide, and don't be afraid.
Afraid? Of what?
Falling from high mountain peaks, plummeting into prehistoric glaciers.
Oh, that.
So, I mean, I was going to talk a little bit more about the music, but since you haven't been able to hear a whole lot of it, I'll save that, I guess, for a little bit later on when it does eventually load. Because the music in this game is really, really good. Was made by Stuart Copeland, one of the members of the Police band way back when. And so he was contracted to write the music for the first 3 Spyro games, so that was kind of an interesting surprise. But I don't know, he writes the music really well, and just it really fits the atmosphere of the game. And there was a PlayStation Underground interview with him way, way, way back. I think shortly after this game was released, or shortly before it was released, or something. And he just kind of talked about, you know, the music is really nice and kind of aromatic when you first start out, and then as you go along and the levels get more and more difficult, he kind of wrote the music to kind of follow that same theme where it's a little bit more intense. So there it is. There's the music. Okay. Let's see here. I guess I have all the treasure in here. I was thinking I missed something. Because you can check your inventory by pressing start, and it'll tell you how much treasure you have, how many dragons you freed, and how many lives you have. So that's kind of the basic interface there. I'm going to feel really silly when I find this, because I think I've just kind of like glanced over it somewhere. But now you get to listen to the music. There we go. All right, so, and it shows you kind of like how much, you know, what the maximum is after you've collected it. So, okay, so the first level we're going to go to is Stone Hill. So we'll start here. That was really weird. I wonder why the sound bugged out. I mean, I know this Spyro game, I mean, I've played absolutely to death. So, I mean, I'm not sure if the disc is scratched and it's having trouble reading it now. Because I just replaced the lens in here, so I wouldn't think it would be that. But I don't know. I mean, weird things happen with games and technology, depending on how the data is packed on the disc, if it's streaming, if the laser has to seek a bunch in order to find the information, you know, because I've recently learned that the PlayStation memory is only 2 megabytes in size, and that is not the right way. And as a result, you have to, you know, kind of be really careful about the way you pack the data on the disk and how you're reading it into memory and what you want to store in memory, what you want to stream from the disk. And so, you know, each level is about a megabyte or two. So then you kind of stream the music too. So.
After you freed all the dragons, pass through this fancy vortex thingamajigger. It'll take you back to the artisan home. But first, let me tell you a story.
No thanks. See ya.
So Spyro has a lot of quips for, you know, what each dragon says and whatever, so. So these metal crates, you can only charge them if you flame them. They just get hot and nothing happens. So we need these keys also to open treasure chests. And for the longest time, I didn't even know that like thing was back there with that whirlwind. You kind of just have to look around the level as best you can and just try and find stuff. Like, I didn't know that you could go down here. I just thought that was death down there, so I never went down there. And then one day I was like, can I actually do something down here? And so I jumped in. You know, I was like, if I die, or if I get hurt, I'll just jump out. Because sparks will take damage instead of you when you, like, run into a hazard or an enemy.
Watch the dragonfly, Spyro. His color indicates his power. When he eats butterflies, he stays strong. Like me.
Sure.
So the game pretty much tells you everything you need to know with regard to moving and, you know, like, just the basic mechanics of the game, I guess. But what they don't tell you is where you can and can't go in the levels. You kind of have to figure that out yourself to what the game will allow you to do. And then that way, it feels more like an adventure game where you can, you know, have a little bit more free reign over the level. You can choose where you want to go, and if you go out of bounds or whatever, I mean, you'll usually just fall to your death or something. And that's kind of the game's way of saying, nope, you really shouldn't be over here.
When you free a dragon or step on one of their platforms, you're saving your progress. That could be useful if you run into trouble. Not that you ever run into trouble, Spyro.
So, yeah, so I mean, you know, there's sparks will take damage for you, and just any of the hazards or things that you run into will change Sparks' color, and he gets 3 hits, and if you get hit again, then you die. But you can also kill, like, sheep and other little creatures throughout the stages. You know, for a while, it's just sheep. But there's, like, lizards and, you know, other things later on that you can kill to get butterflies back. And if Sparks eats the butterflies, then he gains a hit point back. And this reverse LNR is really getting to me. It's probably going to take me a while to get used to again. I'm playing the original Spyro. I do have the remastered version. But again, since this is like a Let's Revisit series, I'm going back and seeing like how good the the original versions were, kind of like how they hold up in comparison to the new ones. I mean, in a way, but mainly it's just because I really like the old versions. It was the ones that I grew up playing. It's the ones I have the most experience with. So, I don't know. I just like playing the original versions whenever possible.
Spyro, my friend, how about a hint on gliding?
You bet.
For the longest glide, press the X button at the top of a jump, and try pressing the triangle button to drop down in mid-flight.
Okay. So the game kind of gives you hints on where to go next, like, oh, there's treasure over there, and the guy just told me how to glide, so I probably should go over there and check that out. So in this section up here, I always kind of lose track of where all the gems are, because they hide them kind of in the terrain up here. So for me, I kind of lose track of where some of that stuff is sometimes. So I need to sweep back and forth. That little blue guy up over there is a thief, and he's stolen a dragon egg. So we have to chase him down and get the dragon egg back. So I'm looking to clear out the treasure first. So once you get up here, you can kind of look over the edge and see, oh, there's a beach down there, like where I was earlier. So there's places that you can look where things become more obvious, so you can tell what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to get to other places, etc. So, wow, he went super derpy. I've never had them do that before. Usually they're running away forever. So that worked out. That was great. So, and like I said before, I'm really a big fan of the Spyro the Dragon music. The first 3 games really did good music. So, and then the remastered trilogy as well, just, you know, kind of amped up and modernized the songs that Stuart Copeland wrote. I don't know that Stuart Copeland came back and wrote the remixed music. Maybe he did, but I'm not sure. I don't remember seeing that in the credits. I almost seem to remember, like, they just like mentioned his name and said, "Hey, thanks for all your work on the first Spyro trilogy soundtrack." Okay, I'm missing 4. Now I'm missing 3. I just don't remember if it's up here or not, because there's some really close to this force field. Oh, there it is. Okay, so that's all of the treasure. And if we look at the inventory, I guess this is a good time to talk about the inventory. The inventory will tell you what world you're in. It says artisans there, and then you have the one that's kind of waving back and forth is the stage you're on. So right now we're on Stone Hill. It tells you how many dragons there are, how much treasure, how many dragon eggs, etc. And then your overall percent over at the side. And the number of dragon eggs up at the top is how many there are in the entire game. So with that being said, now we can either go to the warp point and return home, or we can do exit level. And the exit level will immediately kick you back to the home world, regardless of where you are. So, but for the first one, we'll just go back since it's right here. But there's a lot of levels where it's advantageous because it saves quite a bit of time to just do exit level, because you'll still retain all of the treasure, all of the dragon eggs, all of the dragons, etc. So and there's a bonus level in this world, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on after we clear out the rest of these, because there's a secret level here that you're told about in a much later world, but there's nothing from stopping you from doing it at any point during the run through. So I usually just do it as soon as I have the option to, which is, you know, I just do it kind of right at the end of the first part of the world. So, and it's always good to kill every enemy, because they all contain treasure, because Nasty Nork turned the enemies into treasure. So that's how you go back and collect it. So there's another treasure chest here. So, and there are a lot of just jokes about like, I don't know, different things in culture. So like this is, this level is called Dark Hollow, but it's, you know, just supposed to be funny, like with Sleepy Hollow. So I don't know. There's just a couple of little jokes and things here and there related to just other fantasy stories.
Spyro, want to know a secret? Use the triangle button when you want to zoom in and look around. Oh, your secret's safe with me.
So in the first game, Spyro can't swim. For whatever reason, he's allergic to water. But in future games, you can swim. So, but for the purposes of this first game, you can't swim. You have to avoid it. You have to avoid the water. So, and this is one of the first games that I owned, this is one of the first games I played on the PlayStation. My aunt had a PS1 over at her house, and so sometimes when I was spending time with my grandma and grandpa, they would go over to my aunt's house, and I would play different games on her PlayStation, and so this was one of the ones that she had. And so I played this game quite a bit when I went over there, and just kind of, she didn't have a memory card, so I just got kind of as far as I could each time, and then just tried to do it faster the next time I went over there. So I kind of started speedrunning, I guess, for lack of a better term, really early on with this game.
Big enemies like this Gnorc with the club cannot be charged. But a quick flame, that should defeat them.
So if you're having trouble with certain enemies too, the dragons will give you some hints on how to deal with them. So the Artisan's World is really, really quick and really, really easy. Again, since it's the first world, and they're just introducing you to the concept of like how to glide, how to charge, how to attack certain enemies, et cetera, et cetera. They make this first one really easy. You can skip this animation by pressing start. It'll just immediately break the chest open if you press start. So that's available as an option if you want to kind of blow past that a little bit faster. Okay, so that does it for the treasure.
Oh, it's you. I wasn't sure if you'd escape those annoying little creatures. Of course, they wouldn't bother me, but here's a hint. Metal armor is fireproof, but a charge attack will take care of them.
Okay, so from here, it takes a while to get back to the end point, so we're just going to exit level here. So, makes it nice and quick and easy to get out of. Right into a wall. Okay, let's go to the... let's go down to this world down here. It's like Town Square, I think is the name of it. Yeah. So kind of the order that you're supposed to go in these levels is usually you'll go through all of the normal levels, then there'll be a boss, and then there'll be a flight level where you can just, instead of just gliding, you'll have free flight and free movement. So I usually do those last. So... And again, this is supposed to be, comical with, cartoony, with all the chickens and sheep.
Welcome to Town Square, Spyro. Begin exploring by gliding to that area with the bulls. Use the L2 and R2 buttons to get a good look.
Again, still explaining the controls. So I mean, yeah, this is supposed to be cartoony. It's not supposed to be, you know, super serious. Like, this is violence against animals. It's just supposed to be comical. Like, if you charge these guys, they'll just get stuck in the ground, and you can just leave them there. But I usually just do that to get them out of the way. And I still have no idea why. I believe there was a CD of the Spyro soundtrack released. I don't remember if it was like really limited, where it only had a few number of songs, or if it was the entire thing. But there were not that many of them made, I don't believe.
Thanks, Spyro. I had the worst itch on the tip of my wing. Oh, did you know that you get your longest glides by pressing X at the very top of your jump?
So, but yeah, I don't think it was very possible to get a hold of the Spyro soundtrack very easily. In more recent years, things called game rips of soundtracks have come out and become more popular. So it makes it a lot easier to get a hold of soundtracks, you know, soundtracks to games. And when I found that there was archives of game rips, you know, or found out how to do it myself.
Spyro, did you see a man dressed in blue running around here? He's a thief, and he's stolen a dragon egg. You've got to track him down and get that egg. Run! Run! I'm getting a little winded.
Better be careful there, buddy. But yeah, as soon as I found out that the game rips were, you know, ways that I could get hold of the soundtracks and stuff, you know, and that there are players out there with components that people have made to, you know, play all that music and stuff. That's kind of the way I started going for doing video game music, just because it's not very common that companies will release soundtracks for games. Every once in a while they will, which is really, really cool. I try and support them when they do make them. But it's not super common, I guess. I guess maybe a better way to put it is there's only about like half the soundtracks to games get released. And there's a lot of really good video game music, at least I think. So being able to kind of rip the game music and play it is I think really good. So, and I mean, I would buy a Spyro the Dragon soundtrack if they either remastered it and released it with the original tracks from this version of the game, or if they you know, did two separate soundtracks or whatever. One thing to note is these windmill boxes or crates or chests, I don't know. You have to keep flaming them to spin the fan around. And it can also collide with enemies and other objects as well. So you can use that to your advantage to break things open sometimes. Not that it's super helpful, but you can do it.
Thank you for releasing me.
Near the end of the game, a lot more dragons just say thank you for releasing me rather than give you advice, because there's not much more advice to give after a certain point. So, okay. In a speed run, anytime you finish a level, you want to do start and exit level, because it is technically faster to do that than go through all of the, you know, spinning and everything else. So, because the exit level is instant. Okay, so now we can go to our first boss level. And I thought this was cool, where the dragon's mouth opens, revealing another level. I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, ooh, it looks like Fire Breath too, you know, with all the color schemes and stuff, so. This really ominous music. Okay, so these dogs, if you get near them, will jump on you. And if you flame them, they will come at you and try and jump on you. But I found kind of a trick that, you know, makes it pretty easy to get around those guys. Because I can, when I first started playing this game, those guys were really annoying. So if you flame them and then jump and flame them again, the invincibility wears out, and you can just get around them that way. So it's flame, wait, jump, flame. Because you have to wait, like, I don't know, half a second or so for the invincibility to wear off before you can flame them again. So, uh-oh. And always trying to flame them at the farthest distance is good, because then it gives you a little bit more margin of error where you can back up if you mess up the timing or something. So, but there's nothing stopping you from getting in their face. That dog got me the first time. I didn't realize he was there. At first, I came blasting around the corner like I normally do in games, where I come flying around super fast, and he got me. Those guys can't do anything to you if you flame them from far away, because they'll try and swing their shepherd's pole at you, but if you're far enough away, they can't hit you.
Nasty Nork has put one of his most devious henchmen in charge of the artisan world.
Bring him on. I think I smell a barbecue.
Be careful, Spyro. This boss has many tricks up his sleeve.
Nothing a little fire won't fix. Bad. Also, too, there's a strategy where you can hit multiple of these dogs at once. So if you line yourself up in the middle, you can flame them both and get rid of them. Nice and easy. It's a sheep. Hey, come here, sheepy. I guess the sheep are having revenge. Or something. Sheep are revolting. Super easy. Boss. So, and when you first come through here, I didn't turn over this direction so you can see, but this wall is up, and you can't return home until after you beat the boss. So, pretty easy. So we'll grab a sheep to refill our health. Okay, so when you go through the game the first time, you're not going to know this is here, but the second time or the subsequent times that you go through here, you already know this secret. So if you step on each of the stones, and one of the dragons in Magic Crafters says this, but if you step on all of the stones, it'll lower a wall, and then there's another level in here. Okay, so this is a time trial. So we have to destroy all of the targets before time runs out. There's a timer up there at the upper right-hand corner, and there's a lot of targets to destroy. So you have to be really careful about how you manage your time and how you move through these levels. So, and again, the controls are reversed, I guess, where down is up and up is down. So, I need to be flying against these guys to make it a little bit easier to get them. Because then you can adjust a little easier. Okay. So in this first one, there's barrels, arches, airplanes, and then treasure chests. So we'll take a slight detour to get the treasure chest because I'm kind of off of the sequence, I guess. And these levels give me the most trouble, which is why I do them last. Because they just... Because of things like that, where I think that up should be down and down should be, up should be up and down should be down. You know, I end up messing up the timing and everything else, so. So I always do these levels last because they're not really my favorite, to be honest. So, and Miss Zippity Zap has played Spyro as well, just by herself. And these levels were always her least favorite levels as well, just because they were kind of making her motion sick most of the time. So, which I totally get. You know, these levels aren't exactly nice. So anybody that's got kind of sensitivity to motion sickness probably shouldn't be playing these games unless you have a friend or something that can help you out with these levels in particular. So I'm doing really bad on timing this time. Was not very efficient. Sometimes I'll bop into walls to kind of reset my position so I can turn around and keep flying. Yeah, and you're really supposed to end the arches either here or, you know, back a little ways, just because you'll run out of time really easily. So you get treasure for doing, you know, each individual thing. I mean, you could go through the levels, do each individual thing, but the problem is that all in one. So, I mean, you really just want to go ahead and try and do all of them at once, unless you're just learning the level, but I usually just try and do all of them at once, you know, as often as possible. Okay. Alright, so that's everything in the artisan world, so we're going to go find the balloonist and go to the next world. I guess a little side note before we leave, these little orb things that you pick up that start filling up around your life bar, if you get enough of these, I don't remember what the exact number is, there's a lot of them. I want to say it's like 20 or 24 or something like that. If you get that many of them, you'll fill up and get an extra life. So they're pretty good to do. So in each balloonist has a different requirement. So like the first one, the minimum requirement to go to the next world is free 10 dragons in the artisan world. You know, that's the first goal that the first dragon gives you. I keep pressing R1 thinking I need to do that from Mega Man Legends mainly, so.
Welcome to Peacekeeper, Spyro. Look how our treasure has been turned against us and stolen. Recover our treasure, Spyro.
Collect treasure. Got it.
So we're going to go ahead and take a save here. The dragon tells us to collect treasure, so that's the main goal for this one. So we're going to go ahead and save the game, and we'll call it for for this recording. So that was the Artisan's World. So thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully you enjoy the series as it goes along. This game's pretty short, so it shouldn't be that many parts. But I did want to go through here and start doing this just as a tribute to the first video that I did, and also to actually complete it, because I never did complete that first series that I did. So anyway, hope you all enjoy it, and I hope to see you again real soon. So see you guys later.